story about love, revenge, and dark-skinned people, aka Heathcliff, the gypsy. The relationships are really complicated. Catherine likes Heathcliff, but Catherine marries Linton for his class, so Heathcliff marries Isabella, Edgar's sister, to be with Catherine. Catherine has a baby named Catherine, and Heathcliff has a baby named Linton. Isabella dies, Catherine dies, and Edgar dies after. Heathcliff makes Cathy fall in love with Linton. Linton dies, so Cathy marries Hindley's only son, Hareton, after Heathcliff dies. And they ride into the sunset. Get it? Neither do we. Oddly enough, all these conflicts are influenced by love and passion. This is linked with the lack of a mother throughout the novel. For example, Heathcliff has no mom, and Hindley's abusive relationship towards Catherine and Heathcliff represents patriarchal dominance. However, nature takes on a motherly role for the characters at Wuthering Heights, since, when compared to Thrushcross Grange, the Wuthering Heights household is anything but civilized. Lastly, characters in the novel foil one another, i.e. Edgar and Heathcliff, while others show likeness to those who are deceased, like Hareton representing Heathcliff and Cathy to Catherine.
I love my mommy. I can't imagine a time where she wasn't there to help me through my years. Not to say I don't love my daddy, but times would be hard without my mommy. Conversely, poor Heathcliff never knew his parents and is forced to adjust to a new family where he's abused. Meanwhile, even though their mother is part of Catherine Hindley's family, the mother plays little to no role in the novel, thus promoting patriarchal violence. The abuse doesn't end at just Heathcliff. He reinstates the abuse on people around him, like young Cathy, young Linton, and Hareton. This shows that violence is unrelenting and ongoing. The violence acts like a gene and passes through each and every family member, until at the very end, Hareton and Cathy break the chain through true love. Take the majestic goldfish, for example. Many times the goldfish ends up eating its own babies. Similarly, the circular abuse in the novel builds up like a habit, similar to the goldfish's strange behavior where it decides to eat its own children.
Bronte uses setting in the novel to characterize the characters' innate natures. Just as Thrushcross Grange is the total opposite to Wuthering Heights in terms of beauty, the resident's nature reflects the setting, since Heathcliff from Wuthering Heights is deep and dark, while Edgar Linton from Thrushcross is positive and civilized. Take, for example, the goldfish. Let's say we had two groups of goldfish. One that was fed constantly to his content, while the other is fed little to none. Therefore, the seldom fed goldfish group will eat each other, just like how Heathcliff imposes dominance on others. Book and goldfish are practically the same. But the lock between setting and character ends when Catherine and Hareton, the younger versions of Catherine and Heathcliff, combine the civilized and uncivilized natures together, happily by way of marriage and riding off into the sunset.
Heathcliff, some say literature's most romantic hero. He's like the poor boy that you can't help but fall for. He's tortured, dark, lonerish, but you have to admit, that makes you want him. Emily Bronte uses his appearance as a forefront to grab attention of others. By making him darker than the other characters in the novel, he stands out more, and it points out right away that he's different than the rest. This opens up the first part of the patriarchal abuse, with people calling him things such as gypsy, wicked boy, villain, and even imp of Satan. Now that's just plain mean. No wonder he turns into the perfect misanthrope. His actions, more like reactions to all this, show that even though he is different from others, he can still become the master of both households. That is not the only side to him. He shows a side that loves. He would do absolutely anything to be with one he adores. Bronte uses Heathcliff to show two extremes of man. One that wishes to dominate all, and the other side, one that is deep in love and would give his life away. It is like the goldfish, as it plays two roles in nature, the predator and the prey.
Okay. Books, windows, storms. What do these have to do with the story? These are motifs, and Wuthering Heights is full of them. Emily Bronte uses a number of recurring themes throughout the book to signify shifts in tone and plot. Motifs are important as they show up again and again in the story and are critical to the theme of the book. The most obvious motif, for example, is the appearance of storms. Turbulent weather often foreshadows unfortunate events or chaos for the characters. Another motif is books. Books show up many times in the story and symbolize the arbitrary constraint between Catherine and Heathcliff. For example, Heathcliff yells at Cathy for reading because he blames reading for the separation between him and Catherine. Another motif that shows up many times is windows. Windows represent the barrier between Heathcliff and Catherine's worlds. The best example of this is Lockwood's Nightmare, where Catherine tries to come in through the window and enter the room.